Contrary to common belief, gardening does not start in spring, it actually starts right now with the dream. Hello again everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all keeping well. We're now just about to get into February. It has been a very long month. I'm sure you guys can relate as well to that. January is a long month. But we're almost in February now, so we're going to start thinking about what we can be sowing in February. There are a few things which I've already sown in January. I did a video a few weeks ago, if you've watched that, going over what you can sow in January. That video proved to be quite popular actually, so I'm doing a follow-on video of what you can sow in February. Now, a few of the things which we sowed in January can also be sowed in February as well. So I'm going to go over those as well. So if you've not already sown things in January, don't worry because it is still very early and there's plenty of time yet to get them sown. So, what have I sown? Quite a few things actually. There's a lot of things on the side here which I've sown. I did a sowing session with my mum last week and we both got quite a few things sown. The grow lights at home are starting to fill up now. I'm going to do a separate video next week showing you what's going on there. So there's quite a few things going on there. But right here we've got sweet peas, we've got normal peas, we've got some what else have we got? I think we've got lettuce and we've got beetroot on the side here on the go, as well as a few things at home as well. So with all that being said, let's get right into the February sowing video. I hope you all enjoy. Now I'm going to start the video off with something which I'm sure a lot of you are very keen to get sowing. I know I certainly am, and that is the tomato. Got some sun gold tomatoes here. This is just one of the many varieties which I'm growing this year. We like to go to town on tomatoes. So tomatoes, yeah. I always warn people with sowing tomatoes because they're such a fast growing crop that if you don't have anywhere to put them when they're quite big plants and they're ready to go down to the garden, then don't sow them until March or even April, because tomatoes aren't frost hardy, and if you don't have somewhere to put them when you've got these massive plants, they're going to become stressed in their pots, they're going to become pot bound, they're going to become leggy because they're in search of the light, and you're just going to end up damaging your tomato plant. And if you try and move it outside when it's too early, you risk losing it to the frost. So I like to get my tomatoes sown a little bit later. So I'm probably going to sow these tomatoes towards the end of February. Now you can get away with sowing them in February if you've got a heated greenhouse or you have space at home, like I have a grow light system at home. So I can get away with sowing them in February, and I'm going to do them at the end of February and I'll get away with that. But if you don't have space at home or you don't have a heated greenhouse, then I will probably wait till March or April. So that's tomatoes, done. Now what else can we sow in January, February? There's loads of things here to get through actually. We've already sown onions in January, but you can continue sowing your onions in February as well. And also you can start sowing your sets as well from February if you prefer to grow them from sets. But I always grow them from seed. I'd just like to say, if you find my content useful, then remember to subscribe and hit that bell icon as well so you never miss whenever I upload new videos every single week. Almost at 2,000 subscribers, so if you could sub, it would really mean a lot and I appreciate the support. Now peppers as well can be sown in January. They were part of the January sowing video, but they can also be sown in February as well. So if you've not already done them, do them in February. And it's the same for cucumbers as well. I've got some mini munch cucumbers here which I've already sown. That's another one which you can sow in February. Early varieties of peas. I've got some Kelvin and Wonder peas here which I sowed last week in the module trays over there. So yeah, start sowing your peas now under cover. They are a frost hardy plant, so you can sow them in an unheated greenhouse now, and that's fine. Now I said I wasn't going to be sowing leeks until a bit later. Last time I did them Boxing Day, and yeah, it was a disaster because they all bolted. Because leeks are a biennial, we had a lot of cold weather in January and February after I'd sown them in Christmas, and then they thought they were going into their second year of growth and they all bolted. So leeks can be sown in February, but do be careful that they don't freeze because they may bolt later on. So that's that. January, you can also do some early sowings of beetroot, probably towards the end of January, but February is probably a better month to be sowing some early beetroot. I got some sown last week actually, got a few cells done, nothing crazy. I'm going to try and successionally sow beetroot this year, and that variety is called Bolt Hardy. Now we've got loads and loads of lettuces and leafy greens here, which I'm going to be sowing more of. I actually did a few lettuce sowings last week, just a few. As again, I'm going to successionally sow lettuce. I've got some mixed leaves here, a really nice mixed varieties packet of lettuce. I've also got some other things. I've got some red leaf mixed there. I've got some spinach here. I've got some rocket as well, which I'm going to be sowing as well. Now light levels are going to start to improve throughout February and as we get closer to March, so you're going to have much more success sowing things like lettuces in February. Light levels are going to get much better, so I'm going to be sowing more of those in February. You can also make some early sowings of radish as well, which are a really fast crop, really good because you can harvest these in March and April when not much else is ready for harvesting. So that's a really good one to fill in the hunger gap early in the growing season. They only take about 4 weeks from seed to harvest, so they're a really good one. Now I'm also going to be doing some early sowings of carrots and parsnip as well. Now with the parsnips, they do take a very long time to get growing. This variety is called Tender and True. I do them every single year. And just a reminder guys, that parsnip seeds only have a shelf life of around 1 year. So you need to buy your parsnip seeds every year. Seeds that are a year old are going to have a very poor germination rate. So yeah, just a little reminder for you guys. These are fresh seeds, and yeah, they do take a long time to grow, to sprout, especially when it's cold. So what I'm going to be doing with these is I'm going to be starting them off on some damp paper towel in a plastic sealable bag. That's what I like to do. I get them sprouted and then I will pop them in the raised bed outside, directly sown. Yeah, I found I've got really good success with germination that way. That I'm not just having parsnip seeds left in the ground for weeks on end, because they'll probably take like 4 or 5 weeks to sprout if I just pop them outside. So parsnips, get them in now. Frost hardy, they're not going to get killed off by light frosts early in the growing season, so that's fine. And carrots as well, I'm going to make a few early sowings outside, just a few, just a couple of rows, nothing crazy. I'm going to try and successionally sow these as well. I've got some carrot Nantes, a Nantes type, which is a fast growing summer carrot, so these are probably going to be the first ones to go in, so I can get some harvests hopefully spring, early summer. And I've got some autumn kings as well, which I'm probably going to sow a little bit later because they're going to be my main crops for harvesting at the end of the growing season and into autumn. So a couple of carrots there. Wow, there's all sorts. There's a lot which I'm sowing in February. I've got some cabbages and some Brussels sprouts, which I'm going to be sowing as well. Quite a cold hardy vegetable, so they're going to be getting sown in the greenhouse. We've got some Golden Acre Primo 2, sorry, and they are one of my favourite cabbages to grow. I grow them every single year. Didn't really get much cabbages last year because the slugs got there first. Fingers crossed we have a bit more success this year. We do like our cabbages. Another cabbage here, Brunswick, which is one of your big cabbages, which I'm going to sow a few of those as well. And we've got some sprouts, and this variety is called Brody. Really nice. variety I grow every single year. So yeah, you can get a few brassicas in now, get them sown in the greenhouse or even at home if you have space. Now we've got some butternut squash here. Now it probably is a little bit early, and you know, you could probably get away with sowing them much later. I'm just doing them because I always have really slow growth with butternut squash. I'm not too sure why. Maybe my allotment doesn't quite get enough sun, I don't know, but these are always really slow to get going. So I'm going to start them off at home under the grow lights, because these are not frost hardy and they will get killed by a frost. In fact, they're not even going to sprout in the greenhouse because it'd be too cold. So I'm doing these under the grow lights at home. Now I've also got some watermelon. I've got a couple of varieties of watermelon. This one's called Charleston Grey, and I've got some Sugar Baby watermelons as well, which I've sown at home under the grow lights. Oh, another thing which I'm sowing in February, because it's something which I've been eating quite a lot of lately and I've been buying from the supermarket, and that is celery. I'm going to be sowing some celery at home under the grow lights, because they're not going to really sprout in the greenhouse. Yeah, celery. I tried celery a few years ago and I didn't have much success with it because I didn't give it enough water throughout the growing season. The stems were quite stringy, quite tough and a bit bitter. So this time I'm going to try again and give them more water through the growing season. Right, I think we're getting towards the end of the list here. We've got a few flowers. Now there's absolutely tons of flowers which you can sow in February. I've already sown some geraniums, cosmos, marigolds, petunias, sweet peas. What else? I think that's it. Yeah, that's the flowers which I've sown, which are at home under the grow lights already. And if you were to want to sow dahlias from seed, now is the time to do it. I might grow some dahlias this year, maybe not, we'll see if I've got space. But I've got a few dahlia seeds here, and February is the time to do it. And if you have the space as well, and you want to do them from tubers, you can probably start them off in a frost-free location, off from tubers as well. Now I've got some lupins, and I've got some mixed cornflowers as well, which I'm also going to be sowing under cover. And I think that's it. Yeah, and of course sweet peas. If you haven't sown your sweet peas in January, get them sown in February. I'm still waiting for mine to come up here, but hopefully in the next week or so they should be starting to pop the reds up. Now that's the seeds which you can sow in February. That's just what I'm going to be sowing in February, or what I've already sown. There are other things out there, different flowers and different things, but that's just my list. Now, moving away from seeds, if your soil's not frozen, get some garlic in. I've got some garlic planted in the polytunnel. I've got absolutely tons of it in the polytunnel actually, probably a bit too much, but I'm trying to grow some green garlic as well. So yeah, you can probably get away with planting some garlic in February as well if your ground isn't frozen. And if you're buying your seed potatoes in February, I know ours are supposed to come in the next few weeks, then you can start chitting them if you chit them. I chit them because I feel like I get a head start in the growing season by letting the shoots grow a couple of inches before planting them. Now if you're going to chit them, a egg carton is perfect for doing that, or just a tray. Just make sure that the potatoes aren't too close together so that they're not going to start rotting. Somewhere that's fairly light, pretty cool, doesn't get too hot, but is not in direct sunlight. Like, I'll leave them on a windowsill that isn't south facing, so it doesn't get a lot of direct sunlight, or I'll leave them somewhere like my shed window, on the shelf on my shed window. It's a fairly light location, but it doesn't get any direct sunlight that's going to burn them or make them turn green. But yeah, make sure they're not in the dark either, because if they sprout, they're going to end up like just going stupidly along like that. If you've ever had potatoes sprout in the cupboard, yeah, you'll just end up with that. So what are you sowing in February, and have you already sown things in January? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know what you're sowing this month. Really exciting time for gardeners, because the garden is about to start waking up for spring, and we're getting the garden planned. We're planning what we're growing in the season ahead, and we're starting to get those seeds sown as well. So really exciting stuff at the moment. So I hope this video helped you guys with what you can sow in February. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, then remember to hit that subscribe button and press that bell icon as well, so you never miss whenever I upload videos every single week. I hope you all stay safe. I'll see you in the next one. Happy gardening and happy sowing.